In this video, we're going to look at importing CAD data into Kubla Cubed. We'll be looking at the different types of CAD data you can import, how the CAD importer actually works, and how to get the best and most accurate results. By the end of the tutorial, you'll know how to import contour lines, break lines, outlines, points, and tin surfaces into Kubla Cubed. So let's get started. Before we start importing anything, it's quite useful to understand how CAD files are structured. So unlike Kubla Cubed, CAD doesn't really know what a contour line or a break line actually is. It just kind of stores geometry. So for example, contour lines are usually stored as polylines. Break lines should ideally be 3D polylines, although they're often 2D. And survey points might be stored as point entities, blocks, crosshairs, or sometimes even text. Because of this, there's a bit more to importing CAD data than simply opening the file. Instead, Kubla Cubed needs to identify the geometry you want and convert it into the appropriate terrain elements. It's worth noting that if you do regularly receive drawings from the same surveyor, it can really be worth agreeing on a consistent layer structure. Separating existing contours, proposed contours, and break lines into their own layers can really make the import process much easier. But of course, you won't always have control over how a drawing is presented, so it is really useful to know how to work with whatever you're given. So there are two ways to import CAD data. You can either add the CAD file as a site plan and extract information from it, or you can browse to the CAD file while importing a particular feature. In most cases, adding it as a site plan is the better option because it gives you a visual reference while you're extracting data, and it saves you from kind of repeatedly having to open the same file. Before importing, always check the drawing units. Kubla Cubed will normally detect whether the drawing is in meters or millimeters, but it is worth confirming before we continue. So we'll start by importing some contour lines. We're going to create a new feature surface, and within the contours tab, we'll choose to import from site plan. So we'll locate the correct site plan and select that one, and this opens the CAD entity importer. On the left is the original CAD drawing, and on the right will be a preview of the entities that have been selected. The aim here is to build a filter that identifies only the geometry that you want. So rather than selecting a large area, we want to zoom in and just choose a small sample of the contour line, and this will give Cubed a much better chance of finding similar entities throughout your drawing. Once the filter's been created, we're going to check the import summary here just to see how many contour lines have been identified and to see if they contain elevation data or not. If everything looks okay, it's worth using the simplify option before importing. This is because a lot of CAD files contain far more vertices than are really needed. So if we reduce unnecessary points here, it can really improve performance while still maintaining an accurate model. And if we zoom in, we can see that detail loss is really minimal. So we'll go ahead, we'll press OK, and those contours will come in. If your drawing does contain a boundary, you can usually import this at the same time. So we're going to do the exact same process, but this time within the Outlines tab. Again, we'll choose a really small sample area for our outline. Cubed will recognise closed polylines and will convert them into outlines for your feature surface. I will mention here that if a CAD entity isn't closed, Cubed won't recognise it as an outline. But don't worry, there's a workaround in which you can import the line as a different element, such as a contour or a break line or a length. Close it and then copy and paste it into the Outlines tab. But we are going to cover that along with some other common issues in our CAD troubleshooting video. Break lines, like these ones here in turquoise, are imported in much the same way. So we'll navigate to the Breaks tab, we'll scroll down to the bottom of this panel to find the Import from Site Plan option. We're going to choose the relevant site plan, and again we'll make a small selection over our break line geometry. If they're stored as 3D polylines, Cubed can import their elevations automatically. However, it's quite common to receive drawings where the break line is stored as a 2D polyline with spot heights placed alongside it. You could import those as individual points, but it is usually better to import the line itself. This is because the line tells the software how these elevations connect together, and this will produce a much more accurate terrain model once those elevations have been assigned. When it comes to assigning elevations, you will sometimes find that every point along a break line has been assigned the same placeholder elevation. In this case, it's 171. So rather than manually clearing every vertex, you can convert a specific elevation to not set during the import. These elevations will come in without any elevation data assigned to them, and then you'll only need to define the elevations that actually matter, such as these spot heights. So next we'll import some points. As before, go into your feature surface, but this time we will select the Points tab. Again, we'll select to import from site plan. We'll open that up and we'll make a small selection over one of the points on our plan. The importer can recognize several different types of point representation, including point entities, blocks, crosshairs, and text. Here, you'll also need to decide where the elevation should come from. If the CAD point contains a Z coordinate, position Z is your best option. But if the drawing has been flattened, nearby text can often recover the elevation from its surrounding labels. As always, it's good practice to review the imported points afterwards to ensure your elevations have been matched correctly. So some CAD files do already contain a triangulated surface, and these are typically stored as a polyface mesh. Unlike contours or break lines, these don't require any filtering. Simply select the appropriate triangulation layer and Cubed can import the mesh directly. Since the software works natively with tins, this is often the quickest and most accurate import method. So it's worth mentioning here that so far we've been importing from CAD into a feature surface. And whilst this is what you'll be doing most of the time, you can import into other element types from CAD, such as a path, a trench, or a berm. And I'll just show you an example of this. So we're going to import a path using CAD data. In this scenario, we're going to import the 3D polylines that represent the center lines. So the principles of the input are all the same. It's actually really similar to importing break lines. We'll select our area. We'll press OK, and that will generate a path using our CAD data. So occasionally a filter will select more geometry than you really intended, and there are several ways in which you can refine your filter to make sure you're only getting the data that you really need. So you can refine the selection by excluding specific layers, line types, or line weights. You can also use the crop tool to limit the import to a particular area of the drawing. Say for example we wanted to import this area, we could add a crop by selecting Add Crop and then cropping around that region. This can help reduce unnecessary data and can also really help with performance, especially on bigger sites. So to quickly recap what we've covered, we've looked at how CAD data is structured, how to add a CAD file as a site plan, and how to import contours, boundaries, points, and tin surfaces into Kubla Cubed. We've also looked at how filters can help identify geometry and how tools like Crop and Simplify can not only improve your import, but also improve project performance. In the next video, we'll be looking at some of the most common CAD import problems and how to troubleshoot them. We'll cover missing elevations, flattened CAD files, breakline problems, unclosed outlines, and a number of practical tips to help troubleshoot your import when things aren't going exactly as you planned. Thanks for watching. Let us know what other videos you'd like to see, and I will see you in the next one.